What up, guys? Hey, welcome back to the channel. I know it's not been very long, but guess what? We're back on the chuck wagon. I know pretty much every video has been about the chuck wagon recently, but I was just trying to get things done because a bunch of stuff came in. But what we're gonna do today is this thing has two gas tanks on it, an auxiliary tank and a main tank. Well, the main tank's never been hooked up at all anyway, for about a year and a half or whenever we started running this thing, because the shifter thingy underneath that selects between the front tank and the rear tank just isn't working right. So I didn't do anything with that. We just left it alone. But what my idea is, since we're running off the rear tank and it's only like 12 gallons and this front one's like 35, what I want to do is pull this bed up, get it out of the way, and take this front tank, wire it into the back tank with the pump, with an auxiliary pump, probably, depending on how much the in pump uses when it's in the tank, uses how much fuel it can transfer. We're gonna figure that out here in a minute when we got drain the fuel out of the rear tank, because we got a full tank on the rear. We're gonna use that pump and see how fast it can pull out or pump out. I mean, if not, well, then we gotta get an auxiliary pump that goes on the frame rail, and that can pump up to, I think it was 23 or 30 gallons an hour, so it's pretty decently, about 60 psi, 40 to 60 psi on that. So it actually moves a lot of fuel really quickly if we need it. So if I'm gonna do that, might as well add in an extra hose line off of it too, with a valve that we can plug in a hose and fill up our quad or somebody else's bike, whatever, off that 35 gallons, which is actually be kind of flip the switch, boop, and it's done. But let's get to it. Let's get this bed off, 4 bolts, get it off, get it tipped up out of the way. Oh, and we gotta remove the gas cap. We gotta remove the screws that are inside there real quick, which is pretty easy to do. And then we're just gonna tilt the bed up. I don't want to have to undo any of the wiring or anything for the lights. Whew. All right, we got the bed off, just like that. So let's see, we got a rear tank, we got a front tank. Well, I'm gonna see how well this pump is. I'll pull all these lines off, pulling this back out, and then we're gonna pull this out, possibly get the fuel out of it. I'm not sure what we're gonna do yet, but I'd like to just get the fuel out, push a line in it somewhere, or we could figure out what to do with something else that's bending, but that's what I'd like to do. Maybe we'll pop a hole in the top up there, reach in, put a nipple on. I don't know. We'll figure something out. Alright guys, well, that situation kind of didn't work. Let me explain. So we undid the sending unit here, took it out. So here's the sending unit. Tried to jump the pump, see if it worked. No worky. It spins, but no worky. So what I'm thinking about doing is, since this is just going to be a just a siphon pull-out pump type of deal, what I'm thinking is I'm just going to take this sending unit. We're going to modify it a little bit, since we don't need all this specifications on this thing. Like right here, this doesn't work, so we don't really need that. And this hose is long enough to reach the bottom of the tank, so we're not, this is the return line anyway. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take off the pump line, the one that actually puts fuel up out of it. This is where the pump hooks up to, right there. I'm gonna take this line off. We're just gonna cut it off up there. We're gonna find something to cap off on the end here, and we're just gonna use the return line to suck fuel up. And that should work. It doesn't have to move a lot, because we're going to put a frame rail pump in that will move the fuel for me. Other than that, that's what we're going to be looking at. We just got to figure out how to get the fuel into the rear tank. I'm not 100% sure on how we're going to do that yet. I know we got to run some lines and some wiring, but that's not a big deal for that. It's trying to figure out what we're going to do over here on this tank. This is the evap line, which I know isn't going to do a whole lot of good. And that hole that's in there, it's really big. We're just going to leave that. I'm not going to get out with one hand. Plus I plugged it in anyway, so we're not going to get anywhere with that. I have no idea. May just end up having to pull this fuel pump out of this one, drain the fuel out of it carefully somewhere, put an inlet into it. I wish we could like find something to like, I don't know, drill into that. We could just put it in this corner right here somewhere. I don't know. We'll see. Kind of bites, but we're just gonna figure it out. Well, this is the slight modification. One hose. Cut that one off with all wiring. That's capped off. I just put a piece of rubber and zip tie. It ain't gonna go nowhere. When this goes in, you can hear the line at the bottom of the tank right there. So when it goes all the way in, it's only about an inch or so before it hits the line. So it's gonna be in there pretty far with the fuel. But right now I can't test anything. But I need to run to the store and get some hose and some fittings and a couple other things, and hopefully this will work. It's gonna be fun. Need some more 1/4-inch tubing and a pump, but we're gonna have to order that because I want an actual pump, not an actual small little dinky pump. All right, guys, it's the next morning, so there's a little update for you. As of right now, the way I was gonna design it is not gonna work. First off, I gotta drill a hole in this tank and I have to get a bung and everything else to go in there, blah blah blah. Not really what I want to do, because if it's not gonna work, then it's not gonna work. Second, I don't think it's gonna fill fast enough because of the way that the hole's gotta be, and the biggest hole I can find is only a 5/16 or a 1/4 inch. I don't think it's gonna fill fast enough. That's kind of out of the question. So what I'm gonna be doing, it's something similar to what it is. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get an inline pump, which I've researched and I'm thinking about ordering. It's a 40 to 60 psi, and it moves about 40, it's between 40 and 50 gallons per hour. So it's a pretty decent pump. And what we're basically gonna do is I'm gonna put the sending unit that was in there that I modified back in the tank. I'm gonna run a line out to the pump. When the pump gets here, I'm gonna mount the pump somewhere, I don't know, right. Alright, that's better. I got a fully charged battery. So, but I didn't say, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put an inline pump right here somewhere in the line, really small, or I'll mount it just behind the tank or up in front. I'm not sure where yet. But what I'd like to do is I'd like to run a line out of the tank, so when I do get the pump, everything's ready to go. Just thinking about in the gas tank here somewhere, making like a quick connect or something that pops in through the line, and we can hook up like an air chuck thing, like off the air compressor. See if we can find something like that, like a quick fuel rated line that just kind of click onto it, click, and then when you turn a pump on, you have a hose with a little ball valve or hand thing, so you can fill up, like, I don't know, let's say the quad or a lawnmower or something out of camp, or basically just have the hose long enough where it'll reach back to the rear tank. Yeah, maybe a little slower, but you can fill up the rear tank off your main tank and still have that as well. So kind of like an auxiliary tank, because I'm not messing with the fuel system underneath this thing. It's just too much. Alright guys, well, looking through some stuff, I got an idea of what we're gonna do. We gotta run an errand. So what we're basically gonna do is, with these guys, we're gonna run down and use these, but I want to get a couple things that would make this fit in like I said, hole we're gonna drill somewhere, or mount it somewhere on the bed, so we can actually use this as like a just a quick disconnect, and turn the pump on. We're good to go. So that's my idea. And then use a ball valve. I think I have a ball valve. Yep, I got a ball valve in here, which will work for the line. And it's actually a brass ball valve, which is nice too. So that'll work when you do a couple things. Hopefully, crossing our fingers, that actually works, because just need to get a couple of barb fittings. Looks like a male and a female. So barb fitting, quarter-inch barb fittings. Yeah, that'll be interesting. So I'm gonna run an errand real quick, grab some parts, and then come back and see if we can get this. All right, guys, we are back from getting a couple of things. Had to run down to a supply store, but what we ended up getting is a air hose. I'm gonna call it air hose briquette, but it'll still work for what we want. So because it comes with the barb fitting and the nipple end we need to screw on the end of it. So I'll stop by hardware store. Got our 5 feet of fuel line. There should be enough fuel line for right this minute, considering what we're going to be doing with it. So that'll work perfect. Other than that, we're going to pull this bed back off. Figure out what we're going to do. I know where I'm going to put this guy here. What I'm thinking is on the bed, we're just going to attach it, pull right through here, and just put it through there. We'll make a little bracket, probably find something to attach it here to hold on to it while it's just being transported and everything else, and the hose can just be short, maybe a foot. We can pull out maybe 6 inches to a foot, and then we can attach the other hose, and boop, there we go. So before we actually put the bed on, this is what I did. Put one of those barb fittings in there with a fitting, put one of our little attachments into it so we can attach the actual hose that's going to come off that to the handheld trigger thing or ball valve or whatever it is. Now what we're going to do is we're going to drill a hole in the bed while we still can. Right in there, so we can drop the hose through. Just the perfect size for this, and then we'll be good. All right, well, we had a little situation pop up. If I remember right, pulling on those hoses. If I remember correctly, this stupid thing is selected between front tank and rear tank. Well, it was broken. I just jerry-rigged it to do whatever it's supposed to do. I never had the front tank hooked up, which would have been coming off of these two ports here and going down these two ports there. But the problem is I never hooked these ones back up. So I don't know what happened, but went to go start it and I'm losing all my fuel. Figured it's leaking out of this thing. So that thing is garbage. So we've had to replumb everything, not replumb it, but we had to cut a couple lines off from the main line. Like, here's the adapter for the rear tank that we had hooked up, and here's the return line for it. So what we're basically doing is we're just gonna cut those off, since we don't need that switch anyway. We're just gonna run some 3/8 hose over those adapters with some barb fittings, which are hiding over here in the over here. So barb fitting, I'm gonna put the 3/8 barb fitting down in there, clamp it, put the hose around it, clamp it, do that. And but yeah, this is an unexpected issue I didn't want to deal with right now, but it was inevitable because that thing was broken. I was waiting for it to just fail anyway. So rather it fail now than if we're out running around somewhere or driving somewhere or towing the quad somewhere or just doing whatever. So I wanted to be done with this, but now we have that issue to deal with real quick, which is not terrible. While we wait on a couple other things to show up for the rest of the secondary fuel tank, internal or external tank that we're going to use, which sucks. Alright, so we're under here. So right here used to be where that adapter switch used to be, or the transfer pump tank switch, whatever it is. So we wired in this one because we had a 1/4 inch. We just got to put a couple clamps, or not 1/4 inch, yeah, 1/4 inch on this one. We just got to finish pushing it down, lock that in place. 3/4 inch hose, or 3/8 hose is right here. We're gonna put the hose, the coupler in there, and the barb fitting in this thing, and put the hose on. So hopefully it works. Oh, I don't work. I'm just saying it's gonna work. So, and then we're gonna fix a couple of wiring issues we had to cut and make work. So other than that, this has been a fun, supposed to be a different project turned into a different project because how old these lines are. I think it just cracked and that stupid switch thing broke a while ago, but I don't know. It's been too long to remember. It's been a couple of years now. Yeah, it's coming up on 3 years in March. Long, so I guess we'll figure it out. We're just gonna reroute this anyway. So, all right, let's take a look at what I did for you guys. Like roll back under here. All right, so here's the fuel line. Come off the blue. Ran that into, I don't know, an inch and a half. I put like 2 clamps on this. This one just an extra clamp I threw in case. But and we were going over here. That gray line that was here. Well, it actually goes up to the fuel filter, which is a hidden, kind of hid behind here. It's right here. You can see it's a freaking light now. But ran that right in that filter thing right there, which was easier than having to actually cut that out of the line and make it work and everything else. So we just ran it right into that. And right now the pumps are on, they're running, and there's no leaking. So that's a good thing. That's a good sign. So we're gonna finish this up here. I might run a zip tie through these holes right here just to hold these up back against the frame rail. Push this back in here, you know, just kind of zip tie it up with the one hole we got there from the bolts from the other thing. And then we got a freaking I gotta finish putting this back together because it is yeah, freaking mess still. Lost the bolt for the bed, so I gotta get that bed put back in. Then we'll put the bed back down, get these filler necks back in, and we should be done for now until we get that inline pump, which will be really easy to do because it's already done on this end. We can find the hoses. Hoses are gonna be tucked right here for the 1/4 inch line. Real easy, just in the frame rail right there. So we can crawl underneath it and get it instead of taking the bed off. And then we'll just mount the pump somewhere, either right here or over here somewhere. It's gonna be really skinny, or I'll mount it up inside the bed here somewhere. Don't know where, but we'll find a spot once we get it, because it's gonna be a couple days and let you guys know how that actually works, because I'm excited to have an actual tank that works. Alright guys, so little update. Truck's been running for about a half hour or so, no fuel leak. It is done. We are still waiting on the pump that we ordered offline for those inline for the freight tank. I will get back to the video on that one later. Other than that, kind of a weird video, but if you guys like it, give it a thumbs up. If you want to subscribe for more, subscribe for more. If you liked it, let me know in the comments. If not, then this video was just blah. That's a video.